Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something called open innovation. It's this huge idea that promises incredible breakthroughs by looking outside a company's own four walls. But what happens when that open door just leads to a total mess? Let's get into it.
For decades, the answer was pretty simple. The best ideas came from inside some secret R&D lab. But what if the next billion-dollar idea isn't in your building at all? What if it's out there, in the mind of one of your customers, a partner, or, heck, even a total stranger? That's the big question that really kicked off the whole open innovation movement.
And that movement is what we call open innovation. The core idea is actually brilliant in its simplicity. No single company, I don't care how massive it is, can possibly hire all the smart people in the world. So why not just open the doors? Why not look outside for fresh ideas, new tech, and totally new ways to get to market?
And listen, this isn't just some academic theory. The biggest names out there are all in on this. I'm talking about GE running these huge challenges to find new sustainability tech. Or Lego. They literally turn fan ideas into actual products you can buy. The scale here is just massive. By 2017, this whole approach was behind a staggering 75% of all consumer product innovations.
The adoption rate is just incredible. 78% of large firms in the US and Europe are using open innovation right now. This is not a trend, folks. It's the new normal. But, and this is the really important part, being popular doesn't mean you're guaranteed to succeed. And here's where it gets tricky. Even the most successful companies have stories of this stuff failing. Big time. See, just opening the floodgates and hoping for the best isn't a strategy. You have to actually manage the flood. And this is exactly where the promise of open innovation can run right into peril. Which brings us to our first huge challenge. How do you manage the very crowd you invited to the party? It turns out not all contributors are the same, and you have to understand who is in your community if you want to get any real value out of it. To really nail this, you have to get to know the 4 key types of people you'll find. First up, you've got your drive-by posters. They drop one idea and then poof, they're gone. Then you have knowledge benefactors, the ones who build on other people's ideas. You've also got your super users, the convenience generatives, and finally the cheerleaders, who are great for morale but don't really add new knowledge. So why did these labels even matter? Well, because they directly predict your results. It turns out that communities that encourage those knowledge benefactors, the collaborators, they produce way higher quality solutions. But if you're just relying on drive-by posters, all you get is a long list of random, disconnected ideas. The real magic happens with collaboration, not just idea dumping. Okay, so what happens when this all goes sideways? Let's look at a bit of a cautionary tale. I want you to meet a company we're going to call Electrico, whose big open innovation dream, well, it turned into a complete nightmare fast. Now, Electrico had the right idea. They were a successful electronics company, but they felt a little disconnected from their customers. They wanted to be seen as more innovative, so their big solution? Launch an online community, a direct line to all that customer creativity. On paper, it sounded absolutely perfect. But just look at how quickly it all fell apart. The community launched, and yeah, they got an initial burst of interest, but the ideas coming in just weren't usable. Then, participation completely dropped off a cliff. And just 1 year after its big launch, the whole thing was dead. A total failure. So what on earth went wrong? It wasn't just one single thing. It was this awful, vicious cycle. Legal red tape meant they never got enough people to join. That low participation led to really sluggish, boring interactions, which meant the community didn't produce a single good idea. With nothing to show for it, the company just pulled the plug. So how do you avoid becoming the next Electricore? How do you turn all that peril back into promise? Well, the answer is a really powerful shift in thinking, from just guessing to actually knowing, by building a culture that's driven by analytics. A data-driven culture isn't about buying some fancy new software. It's a fundamental belief that evidence, not just gut feelings, should be guiding your decisions. It's how you spot those knowledge benefactors and find the best ideas before they get buried in all the noise. See, most companies fall somewhere on this spectrum. Way at the bottom, you've got the analytically challenged, who are still just going with their gut. In the middle are the practitioners, who use data, sure, but mostly just for day-to-day stuff. The real winners, though, they're the analytical innovators. They use data for deep strategic insights, and they are the ones crushing it with open innovation. And this right here is the whole ball game. Analytics lets you understand who's in your crowd, what makes them tick, and which conversations are actually leading to real breakthroughs. It stops being a lottery ticket and starts being a core, reliable part of your innovation strategy. So, after all that, where does this leave us? What's the one big lesson we should take away about the future of innovation? Here it is. Simply being open is not a strategy. It's a starting point. Real success in open innovation demands a thoughtful, deliberate approach. You need structure to guide people, you need management to nurture the community, and you absolutely need data to make smart decisions. Without those three, you're really just rolling the dice. And that leaves us with one final question to chew on. It's easy to be busy, to launch platforms and run contests, but the real challenge is to be effective. So you should ask yourself, is your organization just innovating hard, or is it innovating smart? Thanks for watching The Explainer.